Ready? Now listen, I understand. I'm gonna take a moment and get into the present moment as as much as possible. And just real quick, cultivating presence. I know the topic of this video is on the path to finding like-minded friends, and actually presence does relate with it. If you want to know more about becoming present, look up Eckhart Tolle, and there. Let's just be real. There's a lot of time that it's probably going to seem boring and feel boring at first to listen to Eckhart Tolle, but after you've allowed yourself to just listen to him for a while, after you've done that, and you kind of grasp where he's coming from about becoming present, you begin to shift into a new paradigm and a new understanding of the reality around you. Okay, that's what happens, and when you learn to cultivate presence, it means like you let go of the past and you let go of anything that you may fear might come into the future, and you let go of positive things that could come into the future. You just let go of any attachments to anything that you like you're fine if you don't get what you want in the future, like if that makes sense. So like say you got a goal that you're working towards, you're going to be content either way. You're just going to be happy in the process of moving forward on the journey to achieving it. So you learn to develop presence. So you can't manifest from the past, and you can't manifest by focusing on the future. You live in the present, and in that present state, when you are in the present state of mind and you are able to put an image in your mind and a feeling behind it of positivity in that moment, that's what creates the charge, the charge, the intention. I want to say electrical charge, and in a sense it physically is, because a thought in your brain is an electrical charge, but that just word just came into my mind. You want to put that charge out there coming from a place of being present, and the way you do that is you practice being present. So when you do this, you begin to, you see, the majority of people of our population are conditioned. We're conditioned to believe and act in certain ways that stem from being under the, oh man, these words come into my mind, under the spell of particular social paradigms. And maybe there's a reason why these specific words are coming into my mind as far as this video goes, because the word electric and the word spell came to mind, even though I'm not really in that frame of mind where I'm looking at it I'm not trying to say it's like a magic spell, but in a sense it kind of is like that. When you think about it and you study this stuff, it is like people are under some sort of spell or trance, and if they can shift out of that and shift into a mode of thinking where they're able to see their reality through a new paradigm, you begin to align yourself with a new frequency that allows you to manifest the things that you want. Okay, and I personally like the science behind stuff like this. I don't really like to live in this magical, sprinkly, glittery world, although that can be fun, and that can be fun for some people, and it can work to help people self-actualize, and that's a good thing. But me, I like the whole idea of the science behind it, and that makes it even more real and believable for me. And that's okay. So you cultivate presence, and when you learn how to be present and come to the present moment at all times, it means that you can be genuinely content in the present moment, and you let go of outcomes. Now, there can be a time of where you sense some loneliness when you come through this process, because you can no longer relate with people anymore at the same level that you did before. Now, some people have had this kind of sense all their life, but some people are waking up and then they start to lose friendships and they start disconnecting from people, and they don't feel like they're normal like they used to. And some people have always had the sense that they were not the same as most people around them all their life, and they've still kind of blended in with everybody anyway in a roundabout way. And then there's some people, and this is more like me, like we've never even were able to blend in to a strong degree enough. Like, so some people feel weird, yet they still blend in, so they don't look like they stand out. But then some people find it almost impossible to not stand out. So that was me. So I can relate with what it's like to be surrounded by people yet still feel alone. And whenever you do feel that loneliness, it goes back to cultivating presence and coming back into the present moment, and realize that the more you keep doing that, and the more you keep cultivating these exercises to bring yourself back into the present, it helps you to evolve spiritually. And most people aren't evolved spiritually, and they're not on the spiritual path. And the more you do this, you be thankful. If you don't have people that you resonate with or relate with, just come back to presence and gratefulness and thankfulness for what you do have. And then when you do, you start to align. Eventually you will find that small percentage of people that resonate and align with the same energetic frequencies and vibrations that you are aligning with and resonating with once you've reached that point. And the light just went out in the car, and I'm gonna fix it up for everybody so we can see my pretty face again. Just give me a moment. There we go. Hopefully I don't drain the battery, and if I don't drain the battery, we'll all be good. And so yeah, even now, I've always been different, and I've stood out from everybody else. I've been called the weird guy, and to this day I don't stand out. And even now, as I'm moving forward progressively into my spiritual walk, I feel more separate from people, and people tend to view me more and more as weirder than before. And I attribute it a lot to the spiritual growth. I went through a dip last year in 2017, kind of like 2018 is the year of becoming, and I went through like a low point, in and out of fluctuating between higher consciousness and low consciousness, high vibration, low vibration. And then finally, like as we eased into the new year, it was just like a final understanding at the end of the last year, a final understanding of the final things I needed to remove. And now I'm stepping into more and more into true authenticity and being who I truly am and being called to be. And if you're a man, I suggest reading the book The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, and it talks a lot about this consciousness and coming from a place of giving and love. And even though I'm just starting reading that book, so far it's definitely spot on and in alignment with what I'm going through. And I think that when you do that, when you read that book, it's going to kind of help you get an idea of where I'm at right now and how I feel. And most people don't resonate with that. And so what's going to happen is you likely start losing friends, not resonating with people, and people are just kind of being their like derp state of derpiness, and they're not going to get it. And that's just the vibration that they're at. They don't get it. They can't see. They literally cannot see they can't see it. Even if you explain it to them, they can't see the higher consciousness. And this is just more reason for you to just continue coming into the present. There's another book, another guy I wanted to tell you about, but I can't remember his name, so I'm assuming it's not meant to be in this video. That's okay. But he wrote a book. He's kind of new to the self-help scene, but at the same time, he seems to be appearing in the public eye in the self-help realm at a really good time. And he wrote a book on building your identity so that you become your true core self. And I learned about a long time ago, and but then it's like that old lesson coming back again about your identity and being who you are at the core. See, there's the conditioned self that we have that's taught to act a certain way and do what's socially acceptable, etc. Then there's the core self, who we truly are on the inside. And that's the person that we want to bring out and step into. And this will help you to, feel understood, feel like that you're not by yourself. Even though physically you might be by yourself and not resonate and relate with many people yet. But the time is coming where you will eventually find yourself aligning with people, and you'll find people that get it. You find people that get where you're coming from and stuff. I'm just sitting in a dark car right now, outside, and I just wanted to make this video because, yeah, you may go through a certain time where, let's just be real, tonight was one of those nights where I felt like associating and mingling with people. And I could have, and I just didn't, because I didn't want to, be around people that I just didn't want to, and I could have, but I just didn't want to get around people and then knowing that the interactions would just be surface level. And then I would have to shift my mindset back to their understanding of and perception of reality, and work from within their frame of mind and their way of thinking, and interact with them coming from that point of understanding reality instead of understanding the reality I do truly understand, if that makes sense. And sometimes we want real connection with a human being, heart to heart, and you can't really have true, genuine fun and real connection heart to heart if you always have to find yourself shifting and speaking to others through their paradigm. Now, if it's something that you have to do day to day because of your job or your work or whatever, I understand that. And I've had to do that for many years. But there comes a time where we don't resonate with that truly from our heart. And we want to find people that we genuinely resonate from, where it doesn't take conscious willpower and effort and having to psychologically and emotionally distance ourselves to a degree, because we understand that they don't get it, if that makes sense. And to some people that could come across as arrogant, because you're saying, well, you think you know more than them, and you know what, the truth is you do know more, and you shouldn't feel guilty for knowing more and for having this realization, because you see it for what it is. You see it for what it is. You know that they don't get it, and if you try to explain it to them, that they can't get it until they've shifted their understanding to that reality. It's the same thing as like talking to a younger kid that has no experience in the adult world. They literally can't conceptualize to an extent. You can put it in their mind, Like a 10-year-old, you can tell them, hey, when you grow up, you're going to work a job. And the 10-year-old understands, okay, one day I'm going to work a job. I go somewhere and I do this. And you explain it to them that you get paid. But the kid hasn't experienced that yet. So there's a whole new level of understanding when you've experienced it, as opposed to stating it. And you know, so that's an example. It's an example. And you know, and I've noticed in my personal walk, in my personal journey, that more and more I'm becoming different. Again, I think I mentioned that I'm becoming more and more to where, and basically people at lower density understanding, they really are having less and less to do with me these days. And it's a win-win, because you really don't want to. You really don't want to. You want to find people that you do resonate with and that you do understand. You do have the understanding. And you will get made fun of, even by supposed spiritual people that claim that they have spiritual beliefs that are still in those, coming from those paradigms of lower density. That live in the fear, and they need to remain stuck there. There's some people that stay stuck in those paradigms, you know, and if you start to evolve and your vibration is higher, they want to pull you back down to those lower density paradigms. And you know, there's people that kind of like will make fun of you sometimes, even if you express that, if you say that, you know, I'm not interested in those conversations, I'm not interested in going back to that, because sometimes you feel alone. You do feel alone, and they're laughing at you because, you know, because like in their mind it's like, oh well, nobody wants anything to do with you, haha. But so what are they saying? They're suggesting that people do want something to do with them, because they're at that low level paradigm. And the truth and the reality of it is, it's not that you want to, you don't want those people's esteem and affection. You could care less at some point, like you get to where you just don't care, but you do want to connect and vibe with people that are woke, if that makes sense. So the person claiming that they're spiritually enlightened aren't necessarily as spiritually enlightened as they want to perceive themselves to be, because that's ego. Just the fact that they can laugh at that, or say, haha, nobody, you know, just that they're lower consciousness, but they, in their head, they like to believe that they're higher consciousness because they're ego. And they'll even talk about ego. Well, ego, because they're in their head, they're using reason and logic, and they're in their head, and they're experiencing their egoistic elevated consciousness coming from a place of ego, what it all boils down to. And they will, again, as I kind of mentioned before, in a way that they'll try to make you out to be the one that has the ego. They'll make you out to be the one that has the ego, if you express your awareness. So you can't really see, there's an example of how you can't really, it's hard to really navigate and relate with people. So you got to find people that are truly elevated in consciousness, and that are coming from the heart and aren't coming from the ego. And so it can be a temporary lonely time until you do find the right people that you resonate with. And that's all I'll say about it. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to enjoy a snack and watch a video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found something relatable and that it helps you and all that good stuff. Take care.